Good afternoon. Imagine taking your lunch to school, and when you're in grade school or maybe when you're in middle school, your lunch consists of a sandwich maybe and some chips or an apple. Maybe you've got a juice box in there. You don't have too much, maybe an applesauce or a pudding. Maybe you're trading with somebody at the lunch table saying, hey, can I get your pudding if you take my applesauce, or something like that. Maybe if you're really hungry, you have 2 sandwiches. Or maybe your mom is really nice and she puts 2 pieces of fruit into the pack. Whatever it is, you're taking it out, and imagine now that you had to take that food and share it with everybody in the lunchroom. That everybody in the lunchroom was looking to you, expecting you to divide your food among them. That's what the disciples faced when they were on the mountain. Seated in front of them were 5,000 men, not including women and children, and they were hungry. And the disciples looked around and could only come up with a few loaves of bread and a couple of fish. And they knew that that wasn't going to do it. Just like you would know in the lunchroom that your lunch wasn't going to feed the whole cafeteria. But they had Jesus. And they didn't know what Jesus was going to do, and maybe it didn't even dawn on them when they were doing it, what Jesus was accomplishing. But at a certain point, it did. And maybe that certain point was this. Luke chapter 9, verse 16. Then Jesus took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke them. Then he kept giving them to the disciples to set before the crowd. The disciples kept coming, and Jesus kept giving. And over and over and over until all 5,000 and the men and all the women and all the children were fed. And you know how the story goes, or maybe you don't. They picked up 12 basketfuls after that, more than what they started with. Jesus had performed a miracle, and it all started not with Jesus telling his disciples, look what I'm going to do. Look at what I'm going to be able to do with just a little bit. It all started with Jesus looking up to heaven, blessing the food, and praying to God. And the disciples saw that. The disciples noticed it, and you notice it too. There are a lot of things that we might take away from this account, from this miracle, but let's not forget the one of those is that Jesus took time, even in the midst of the hurry, even in the midst of a hungry crowd, to say thanks to God, to bless the food, and to give thanks. Jesus did that, and so can you. Giving thanks to the God who gave it to you, that you don't have to multiply it for so many, but that God is satisfying you. Until we see each other again, the Lord's blessings on your day.